Welcome to another edition of Coffee with the Candidates. I'm here today with Mike Villaneuva, who is running for one of the city commission seats. There are 4 candidates running for the 3 seats on the election, which will be held on April 9th. Voting locations will be City Hall Gym and the North Fire Station from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. that day. And absentee voting will start on Monday, March 25th, and that will be in the City Hall Gym. We would also like to give a big shout out to Mid-Continent Communications, who sponsors our Coffee with the Candidates. So welcome today.
Well, thank you, Nancy. Thanks for having me here, and hello, neighbors.
Well, I'd like to go ahead and just give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to our viewing audience.
Sure, you bet. Well, my name's Mike Villanueva. I am currently serving on the City Commission, happy and honored to be doing so. I've lived here in Yankton now with my wife and my family now for about 17 years, and it's mind-blowing that it's been that many years. It's just gone so fast. But I'm part of St. Ben's Parish. My kids go to Sacred Heart School. I've been this July I've been a firefighter for 22 years. I'm really proud of that, and I really enjoy being a public servant. I served the citizens of Omaha for about 9. I became a paramedic there while I was there. Commuted for 3 years back and forth, but ended up leaving and coming here and getting on the Yankton Volunteer Fire Department because I couldn't leave it. The call was still there, so I still had to do it. And I'm proud and honored to serve as a firefighter here in town. I've been doing that for, it's hard to believe, again, about 12 years. Right now, I'll look at my list here because it's a little extensive, but I really enjoy public service, and I really enjoy being involved in the community, and that's what led me to run and become a city commissioner. So right now I'm serving on the Riverboat Days Board, CASA, the Chopper Johnson Foundation, Battle of the Badges, that's the basketball, the police and fire basketball game, EMS. Just to remind our viewing audience, the firefighters did win by 1 basket. Not that I'm gloating, but it's all tied up right now. It's 3-3, so look for the tiebreaker next year. That should be fun. I'm on the CASA board, the Chopper Johnson Foundation. I'm also a peer. I'm proud of being a peer counselor for the Missouri Valley Critical Incident Stress Management Team. That's where we are a peer counselor, peer support for people that have gone through a very traumatic experience, first responders, nurses, EMTs, etc. I'm really proud of the work we do with that as well. Part of that team. The vice president of our local Rotary chapter. I'm a member of the Elks Club. I'm a chaplain, the Federation of Fire Service Chaplains. I'm one of 5 on-call chaplains here for Yankton County. So if something does happen, we can get paged and respond to an incident there. As well as I'm an oblate of the Sacred Heart Monastery. So I'm really proud of that too.
My aunt runs the Oblate program,
so
wonderful. I know she loves having as many people in that program.
Yes,
so
for sure.
You are very busy with all of that stuff, as well as the family that you and your wife are raising as well.
Right. Thank you.
So, with all the candidates being current or former commissioners, what sets you apart from them?
Well, so what sets me apart from them, I do want to actually add a little bit of a question and answer that too, is because I think it's important that people know why I'm even running for re-election. I think it's important, like I said before, I've enjoyed serving the public as a firefighter and especially as a city commissioner, and I would really like to continue that on for another 3 years. I want to continue to serve the community of Yankton with thoughtful, common sense leadership and decision making. I am proud of the fact that I think we've done that as a commission and myself. But it really is the biggest thing for me too. It's when we make these decisions at the city commission level. It's not about us. It's not about me. It's about the community, and that's what's also important to answer part of the question you just asked me. But again, the reason I want to continue to run is because I love Yankton and I want to see it thrive and flourish. And I said this before previously when we had this interview, and I want to make this point, is that when we decided to move wherever it was that we landed, my wife, Mary Lee, who's an oncologist right now at Avera, we had options, and we ended up landing here because we loved Yankton, and this is where we wanted to end up. So to answer your question, why should you pick me over the other candidates? I really do think that my experience as a first responder, as a public servant, is really important. That is my mindset. I am honored to be a commissioner. I am honored to be elected by the voting community. But the biggest thing is I am a public servant, and that is why I do what I do. I like to say I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. That's what I'm doing. Also, being an oblate of the Sacred Heart Monastery, I've chosen to be a person of faith who chooses to live and follow the rule of Saint Benedict in my everyday life. That's really important to me, and I do strive to be. I'm not perfect, and no one is, but I try to do the best that I can in following those rules. I also, and I'm gonna being the person, because this probably will come up, being the person with the least, which is interesting in this group, the least amount of commission experience in this whole four group of people here, is that I'm going to turn that into a positive. The reason I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing is because having 3 years on the commission right now, I was told that being a new commissioner is like drinking from a fire hose, and they're not wrong. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to process. The packets come, and there's a lot of homework. But with that, I've really enjoyed doing that. And the thing with me having 3 years, having the least amount of experience, I'd like to say that I'm still learning, and I bring fresh and new ideas to the table. I bring a different perspective as a first responder and truly a community servant, a public servant. I think I bring a lot to the table. One of the things I want to say too, and I know I'm getting windy, but this is important to me. I want to make sure, as a leader of the community, as a commissioner, I want to make sure that when I make these decisions, that people feel heard, and that people feel noticed, that they know that people are listening to them, and that's really important. One of the things that someone told me that I do well, because when people say, "Hey, you're doing a great job," and I ask, "Well, please tell me why," and they said, "Well, you're approachable, you're a good listener, you're good at asking questions." But again, the biggest thing is I think it's really important to listen to the citizens and make good decisions on their behalf.
Yeah, I will say that when you talk about listening to the constituents, that doesn't mean you always have to agree with their standpoint.
No, and I do think that's one of my strong suits too, is that I've said this to a few people, is that we can always agree to disagree. And one of the things that I am good at is, as I make these decisions and go through this process of making a decision there in the commission chamber, I'm empathetic to all sides of whatever the debate might be or the topic might be, and listen. And again, at that moment, we can agree to disagree, and that is okay. And that's how we move forward. Instead of doing this, we can have a good respectful conversation and make that vote and then move forward.
And as you talk about listening to people in the chambers, sometimes there's this misperception that commissioners always come in and have their mind made up. But you and I both know, sitting behind that table, you can think where you sit on an issue and learn something new, and your opinion changes within 5 minutes or 50 minutes of debate. So sometimes that's frustrating to people who are saying, "I thought you were voting this way," and then that changes.
It changes as, like you said, as those facts come up, or that you listen to the what people are saying. Yeah, you make the decision with the information you have, and if that time you have more, then sometimes that your decision may change. Absolutely.
And just to let the viewing audience know, the candidates are allowed to have as long of an interview as possible, as they want it to be. So you cannot be too windy in this process.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
We know that it's difficult in the forums to answer a question in 2 or 3 minutes. So sometimes you do need 5 or 10 minutes to answer these questions. So let's move on to, what do you feel the role of a city commissioner is?
Well, that's a great question, and we just great segue into that, what we were just talking about. I really think that the role of a city commissioner is truly to listen to your community, listen to the public, and really to make a sound decision, a good, level-headed, informed decision after research and listening to public and staff input, because that's important too, to listen to your department heads. That is important. But input is important to make good decisions based on the information at hand, like we just said, and like I said before, to be empathetic to all sides of the issue, not to say what frustrates me the most, what has frustrated me the most, and actually is part of the reason that I ran. I am so tired of people just, this is where I'm at, and I'm going to dig my heels in no matter what, right or wrong. I'm going to dig my heels in, and that is not how a community moves forward. It doesn't work. And so that's why, again, we can agree to disagree, we can make a decision, and we can move forward. I think it's important to be open and approachable to dialogue, especially from citizens, and when they want to give you that dialogue, to really listen, not just to hear them, but to truly listen to what their stance is, and really, like I said before, it's this is our mission statement: to provide exemplary experiences, services, and spaces that create opportunities for everyone to learn, engage, and thrive. And so that is the city's mission statement. So that should, I feel, be all of ours as well.
So can you share with the viewing audience your perspective on the current city budget and what you might propose to do differently?
Well, that is a broad question, and I really thought about that. And right now, the city budget is actually in a really great position. I attribute that for sure to being conservative at times when we need to be. Al Virick, I'm doing a wonderful job. Hope you're fishing, Al. Happy retirement. Lisa Yardley has stepped into Al's place, and she is absolutely fantastic. She's stepping up to the plate and hitting the ground running, doing a great job. But we had the biggest year ever for building permit valuations last year, and what's really exciting about that for me, it really shows that that we are moving forward as a community with value, with actually building and growing. I think that's super important. And one of the things that I know that Al was able to do, speaking of Al again, he was able to pay off 4 of the SRF drinking water loans early. He had to get state approval to do that, but we did that. And so I think that should be a testament to paying off loans early. It definitely means that you're in a good spot, saving some of that interest too. So I think that was really fantastic. And the biggest thing is just when we have to be conservative, we are. And really, right now, we have a balanced budget. So let's continue to do that.
So in 2024, we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Meridian Bridge. What process would you propose or support regarding the long-term plans for the bridge? Some people might want to repair it. Some people might want to remove it. And then all of that has a price tag.
It does. That is a tough, so I really kind of tried to wrap my head around this question too, Nancy, is that I really do think that the Meridian Bridge really is, it's very vital to who we are. I mean, it's like it or not, and I do love it. That is part of our identity. So I personally think it's important to continue to repair that as long as we can. And I know that gives sometimes people recoil when you say that, because it does come with a price tag. But I do think, and that's going to be a little bit of a common theme as we talk about some more budgeting stuff, but I really think that what I love about these questions is it really hadn't sat down and really thought about that. And that's why I love doing these questions and forums, is that as I looked online and did a little bit of research there, I do believe there are some grants out there that we could take advantage of that would help us with a lot of different areas of our budget, especially the bridge. I do think, and this is something we'd have to have a conversation with the national parks. I don't know exactly if that would work for sure, but I do think it's possible. What would it look like if there was some type of partnership? It does go over a national park. I do believe it is an integral part of that national park, and as well as downtown. So maybe there's some type of a partnership we'd have there. Again, grant funds, like I said, and one thing I want people to remember as we talk about this is that there are funds that have already been allocated for the demolition of that bridge. The sad part is those are held by the state. I believe it's about $2.1 million, and we can't touch those funds unless we hand the bridge back over and it becomes demolished. And now, granted, that could change a little bit based on what maybe we change with the bridge. If we do something different with it that costs more money to demolish, that could change. But I mean, that will always be there. But I would really not like to make use of that and really try to keep the bridge in the Meridian District as long as we possibly can.
So we have seen multiple economic development successes in 2023, as you alluded to earlier, and with $100 million in building permits this past year. What do you think about the current processes for economic development, and what would you propose to continue or change?
Well, obviously the economic development process is working, like we talked about. I think we are doing a great job, along with the relationship here with Thrive in the city of Yankton and on these community development projects. I think that's super important and is working. And I really want to go down a few. Very excited about some of the projects that are currently happening. Gale Drive, that project is going to potentially get some infrastructure for some housing, much needed housing. That's going to be coming. Gurney Flats downtown. The Stencil Group is doing a great job down there, and wow, what a truly, in my opinion, a game changer. That project will move the Meridian District so far forward with having people living down there. I just think it's going to truly be a catalyst for something amazing. So I'm really excited about that. Garden Estates, so west City Limits Road, another neighborhood, again, much needed housing. The YSD Trailhead Learning Center, I just think that's also exciting, a place for kid care as well as learning, and that's super important. Maybe not as exciting to everybody else, but it is exciting to me, and I'm going to give a shout out to Kyle at the wastewater treatment plant. Reason being is that to me, that is such a important part of our infrastructure that is not super. It's not one of those things that you say, "Oh, yay, we're doing the wastewater treatment plant. We get to renovate that. That's awesome." But at the same time, we would not be super excited if it broke. So right now that's moving forward, and it will be building in redundancies so that it doesn't ever go down, and we shouldn't have to worry about that. So that is exciting. And the Marn Creek, all of the infrastructure for the trail system that was damaged is now fixed again. So that's really exciting. And that's just to name a few. I mean, yeah. We're moving ahead, and I'm really excited about it all.
So I do want to mention, as on that laundry list,
yeah.
Lewis and Clark Behavioral, because I know that's another project that is really important to you as we're looking at the mental health and the services available in Yankton.
It is. Thank you for bringing that up. I was at that groundbreaking, and thank you. That is one that for sure I should have had on that list. It's so important to have that facility out there. It really ties into a whole bunch of the police department. All kinds of different entities will be able to use that facility. And really be a game changer for mental health in Yankton.
And the one thing that kind of weaves all those projects together are partnerships and collaborations there. None of those projects would happen alone. So even the Stencil Group utilizing the HIF grant, utilizing TIF funding as a part of the city's financing program, Lewis and Clark Behavioral receiving a lot of state funding for that project. All of them are partnerships between entities because no one can do it alone.
Right.
So what are your 3 favorite things about Yankton?
Well, my 3 favorite things about Yankton. The very first thing that I would say right now would be the people. So here in Yankton, we have kind, neighborly, hardworking, community-oriented neighbors and friends. When we moved here, especially when I know I keep mentioning the Sacred Heart Monastery, but it is important to me. We went to church there right after we moved here, and I felt it's like when you find the home that you want to buy, like this is it. I knew when I walked into that church, the Bishop Marty Chapel, like this was so inviting. The nuns were so wonderful, and they introduced themselves. We become friends with so many of them. It's just it's where we're meant to be. So that's definitely one of my favorite things about Yankton. Really too, and I hope people appreciate, and I know sometimes just by living here, doing our busy day-to-day lives, we forget the beauty of where we live, but truly just the beauty of Yankton. Like I alluded to earlier, we had options of where we were going to land, and I truly mean this, that this is by far one of the most pretty cities that I've had the pleasure to be a part of. It's beautiful. It truly is a diamond, with anywhere from, you talk about the Meridian, the historic Meridian District, again, moving west to the Bishop Marty Chapel and the Sacred Heart Monastery. I can't forget the Mead Museum, and the reason I bring that up is because what a neat building, and I love history, and so to tell our story about the Dakota Territory in Yankton, I think that's so important too. And again, the soccer fields. I mean, there's so many wonderful things that those would probably be my top three.
So on the November 3rd ballot, there may be a measure to eliminate the tax on food, and this could create a large loss in local revenue. How do you see that impacting the budget, and what would you propose doing differently to create a balanced budget?
Well, let's hope, because right now we don't know exactly yet what is going to happen with that. So it really, truly is, it's such an unknown. And so to say, it's easy just to say that, but yes, we should be prepared for that. We should be thinking about what if, like, what could happen. And this is where I'm going to go back to, this is going to be my, one of the things that I'm going to really try to move forward is grant funding. Like Al would always say, well, we can either plant money trees, or we have to, I can't make the pie, no matter how you cut it, it's the same size pie. And so how do we grow it, make that pie a little bit bigger? But I do think that it's important. As I was online surfing, looking through grants, there's a lot of grants out there. And with that being said, along with any grant funding, there's oversight and there's legwork on the part of our finance department. There is a cost to that, but I really do think that if we maybe looked more into that as well, I think that it would really, the cost versus benefit ratio would be pretty high. So that is definitely one of the things that I would seriously want to take more of a look at too.
So let's talk about community involvement. Commissioners and staff work really hard to share necessary project details in the paper, at news briefings, at meetings. And we have seen over the past year, some citizens feel like they've not had enough access to information, or they haven't had the information early enough in the process. So thinking about the challenges at Westside Park and the removal of the tree, do you think anything needs to change in the communication process?
Well, I do think transparency and open government is extremely important. I mean, that is very important. But what people also need to understand is that, citizens should know what is happening and be well informed. But one of the things that's sometimes, and I did, and I'll say it, I did apologize for the tree as far as if they felt like people weren't informed, and maybe they weren't, I don't know. But I will say staff absolutely does try to do a fantastic job of keeping people informed. That would not have been on purpose. I mean, they're doing the best job they can, and I think they do a great job. But one of the things I want to talk about too, that when we talk about development and business and being informed, part of some of the issues that we have about, I know it was the one or two meeting rule. Should we have talking about something publicly and then voting the next meeting when it comes to development, community development? Well, we follow the rules. I mean, we always will follow the rules. The problem is if we do create more rules for ourselves, just the city of Yankton, and the other cities get to play by the rules the state has proposed, and now we add another, we're tying an arm behind our back, so to speak, or making it harder for ourselves. That's not good. That's going to put us, why would we want to make it harder for us to bring development to our community? And that's all that would do, because we do follow the rules, but by being more open about the one meeting, two meeting, and things coming to town, it would be a hindrance to our development. So we are following the rules, we're doing what's necessary, but it doesn't make sense to make it harder for Yankton.
And there are a lot of mechanisms that people can use to access the information,
such
as the website, the YouTube channel, those types of tools. Yeah,
our IT department, Dwayne, and his staff do a fantastic job. Our commissioners, we have my little iPad that I can look up. So everything is online, and as I am surfing through my stuff for commission, as well as looking at other things on the city website, it's laid out really, really well. Like it's very easy to navigate, and I really appreciate that. And I suppose someone might say, well, what if I don't have access to a computer? Or I know at the library there's access there, so please take advantage of that if you need to.
So the city is embarking on updating the comprehensive plan. What would you like to see included in that plan?
So as I was looking through the comprehensive plan, it feels fairly comprehensive. but what I did want to touch on are some of the things, because I do think this is important. Let's talk about some of the strengths that I took away from that comprehensive plan. Some of the strengths we have in our community would be our medical and health services. They're really, really strong. We have the hospital as well as YMC, the clinic. And quality of our city's natural environment, that's a huge strength. Community events and festivals, very, very important to having fun and bringing people into our community, tourism, etc. And the parks and rec system. One of the things I'd like to see, besides just obviously updating it and making it relevant to now, but one of the liabilities that I still think that are out there is the ability to retain young people. I think that's really important. And what does that look like? And I really think what excites me is I feel like with a Huther Aquatic Center, I really feel like that was a huge step into some of that quality of life component that I think will help to keep young families here or bring them here, as well as housing. So I think we need to continue to do a good job with that, and I want to see that all in there as well again. Consensus about community direction. That was one of the things that I took from the comprehensive plan that was a weakness. And I know we're getting better. We're getting better at that. As we talked about being transparent, but really asking for, and a good example of that was the Huther Aquatic Center, was asking for community involvement and being part of that process. I saw it all work, how this is the idea. We have a vision. Well, let's bring some people into that vision. Thanks, Josh and Casey, for doing that. But they brought me into that vision, and I'm so blessed that they did. And then we bring some more people in. The community buys in, and then my daughter Maya empties her piggy bank and donates all that money to that. And so it was just really neat to see consensus about a community direction, and I really saw that work, all that input, and now we have an amazing Huther Aquatic Center there. Development in the Highway 50 corridor, that is one of the things that was still listed in the liability, and I do think that we're trying to move forward with that too. But so if I was going to add anything, I would like to see us talk more about this and how do we move some of these liabilities off that list, which I still think we may have a few, and add to our strengths.
So not to let any secrets out, but Thrive has been speaking with United Way about a young professionals network. So we can get some more collaboration, but with the turnover at United Way, it might be a little slower rollout than we had originally anticipated. But we look at that as one of the ways that we can hopefully get the younger, professionals, the young people engaged and connected to community.
Well, that's fantastic.
And then I also like to remind the viewing audience for whenever we talk about the comprehensive plan for the city of Yankton, this is a living, working, breathing document that is not just put on a bookshelf to be looked at 10 years from now.
Right.
They really do appreciate the input and the time that it takes to develop this plan, and then they use that as a guide for the years to come.
Yeah. And as a reminder, again, all of this is available. The comprehensive plan is available on the website. You probably won't print it out because it's so long, but it would be good reading if you really want to be involved, and I'll get to that in your next question. If you want to be involved, pull up the comprehensive plan and see that's kind of the vision, like where are we heading? Well, there you go. It kind of lays it out, and if you have something you want to add or whatever, then come to a commission meeting. I'd love to hear it.
So with the last question being, do you have anything you want to include that was not asked in a previous question?
Yeah, I would like just to add a couple of my own thoughts. One of the things I want to tell people is to get out and vote. That's so important. I said that last time, and I'll say it again. It's so important to get out and vote. Your voice needs to be heard. If you've never voted, make sure you get registered to do that. And that's really important. You need to vote. And I want to say this too. We are a community, and as neighbors, we all have talents to share. And with that being said, I think if you do have time, I think it's important to be involved and to volunteer in your community. There's always, I promise you, If you look around, it won't take long. There is an organization in Yankton that if it speaks to your heart, please donate time, donate money, whatever you can do to help out the community. I promise you they will be happy to take you in. And when you give to people, give back, I promise you will get it in return too.
Well, thank you for joining us here today, Mike. I do want to remind the voters, if you need to register to vote, that is at the County Government Center, which is located on Broadway. When it's time to vote, if you're doing absentee voting, that is at City Hall, which is located on Walnut Street. And on Election Day, April 9th, that is at City Hall Gym at 416 Walnut, or the North Fire Station, which is 201 West 23rd.
Yeah.
So, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Nancy. Bye, everybody.